What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. This is my first full workout that I'm posting on YouTube and I'm super excited. As you can see, I'm starting with a dynamic warm-up. I really take the time to open up my hips before every leg day, okay? Like, this is a ritual. It needs to happen. It's made such a big difference in my squat depth over the years, and it just makes a very, very big difference in your movements and the way that you perform and the comfortability of your squats specifically. Here you can see I'm doing a hip flexor to a hamstring stretch. This is another one that I do on every leg day, especially when I am focusing on hamstrings, doing an exercise like an RDL or something like that, which I will be doing today. And then next up we have leg raises, which are very challenging, okay? They might look easy and simple, but this freaking hurts, I'm telling you. But they're great for strengthening your hip flexors, which is very good for increasing your stability. Next, here we have toe to squats. This is another dynamic movement I do before every leg day, especially when I'm about to squat. And I like to end off with sitting in a squat like this and rocking back and forth, which is really good for your ankle mobility. And honestly, just sitting in a deep squat as much as possible will make it a lot easier for you to squat deeper when you are doing a barbell back squat and so on. So I encourage you to do that. And then there, sorry guys, I'm trying to keep up with the video. After that, I was doing some glute bridges. I would like to do this before a leg day that I'm going to be focusing on glutes, to try to just fill my glutes and pretty much activate them before I get into the actual movements. So it'll hopefully be a lot easier to use my glutes as a primary mover when I am doing the exercises. Okay, but here you see that I'm rolling out. So I do like to also foam roll before going into my workouts, especially if I'm tight from a prior leg day. This really helps to loosen me up and, you know, get the most out of my workout. All right, so I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I completely did not record the warm up before I squatted. So I technically warm up like twice when I'm doing squats, okay? I did my dynamic stretch warm up, which you saw, but I also do a dynamic warm up by the bar, just some leg swings, a little bit more of like some hip openers. It just really gets me loose, and I feel like I squat better and lift heavier when I take my time to do so. But here I am doing barbell back squats with a pause, okay? I'm very focused on having somewhat of a wider stance. My toes are pointed outward to focus more on my glutes. You are going to get the biggest stretch on your glutes at the lower portion of the squat. So this is why I like to sit in it and try to pause for 3 seconds at that lower portion, because this will hopefully activate your glutes more and of course help you grow your glutes more. Next up we have hip thrust, okay? And this is using a hip thrust machine. I'm gonna be real too, I particularly did not like this machine, okay? This is my first time using this machine specifically. I mean, I've used other hip thrust machines, but this one was not the most comfortable. I'm also 5'9", I'm kind of tall, and I felt like it did not fit my body well. It just, to me, the placement of the bar was not sitting exactly where I'd like to sit, so it was hard for me to really feel it in my glutes. But you know, I was lazy. I did not want to set up the entire hip thrust setup, okay? If you know, you know. It takes a year and a half to set up barbell hip thrust, okay? And I just was not feeling it. So I did this. I really focused on, once again, being slow and controlled with the motion, and really, you know, focusing on lifting heavy and keeping tension in my glutes as much as possible. And if you can't tell from my face, I was definitely feeling the burn on this last set of hip thrust, okay? So mind-muscle connection will make a huge difference in your lifts, especially when it comes to glute growth. Next up, we have reverse lunges on the Smith machine with an added deficit. I know these are really trendy right now. You're probably seeing this exercise all over social media, but here you can see I'm making sure I have my setup right. So as you saw, I put the plate there, really want to make sure, you know, everything was stable before I actually got into the movement. That's a big thing, especially if you're stacking plates. Make sure they're not sliding, okay? Because you don't want to bust your ass trying to do this exercise. But anyways, I got my plates set up to a decent height. And as you can see, I'm making sure every single rep that my knee is going below the plates. If your knee is not going below the plates, then it's literally a waste of time adding that deficit. The whole point is to give yourself a deeper range of motion to really add an extra stretch on your glutes with this exercise. So if you're not taking advantage of that extra range of motion the plate is providing, you basically are wasting your time, okay? So another thing too is, if you can see here, I'm doing my best not to push off of the non-working leg. Okay, so most of your tension should be on the leg that is forward, and this will really help you, of course, build your quads as well as build your glutes. You also want to focus on hip hinging like every other movement, okay? I cannot stress this enough. If you struggle with, doing RDLs, any type of hip hinging movement, I highly recommend that you focus on mastering your hip hinge, because it will make the biggest difference in your glute growth, okay? Because most exercises that are going to help you grow your glutes are ones that involve a hip hinge. Speaking of hip hinging, we have B stance RDLs next. So these, I'm gonna be 100% honest with y'all, these took me a minute to get down, okay? I'm a big fan of single leg RDLs. And for whatever reason, this is literally the same exact thing as a single leg RDL, but you're using your non-working leg as a kickstand to support the movement, okay? And it took me a minute to just kind of get balanced and really get the movement down. But it is a huge help, especially if you want to do this before moving into a single leg RDL. This is a great way to give yourself that extra balance and support instead of being unstable in the movement. And, just like a regular RDL, you really just want to make sure you are pushing your hips back as far as you can. I always tell my clients, think of closing a door with your butt, okay? That's one of the best cues I can give. And also too, you want to make sure that you are keeping a slight bend in your knee at all times, obviously keeping your spine neutral. If you ever start to feel any lower pain in your back, you're doing it wrong, okay? You should not be feeling any pain in your lower back. So here you see me switching legs again. Like I said, even here, I still feel like I'm not like 100% comfortable with this exercise, especially when I work on my left leg for some reason. So, everything takes practice, right? Even me, I've been training for a while now, but new exercises, they take me a minute to get down, and there's nothing to be ashamed about with that. Everybody is a beginner at some point, and you're gonna have new things that come up in the gym that you're gonna have to learn no matter how long you've been lifting. All right, guys, so let's get into the last exercise. We're finishing off with the leg press, and we're doing AMRAP, which basically means as many reps as possible. I like to finish on exercises like this just because I was dead, my glutes were dead, and I don't want to do anything that's going to require me to stand. So getting on a leg press machine is great because I can obviously sit down and just push out as many as I can at the very end of the workout. So basically that's what you're doing. We did 3 sets of AMRAP, and I did fairly lightweight. That's why you see just 1 plate on each side, and I just pushed until I couldn't push anymore, and we finished, okay? But we finished strong. So hopefully you enjoyed this workout. Please let me know in the comments if you have any questions or if you'd like to see more workouts. But thank you for watching, and I will see you guys soon.